Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the 5th anniversary in Last Cloudia. So, I want to do a few different things today because this is a bigger update, right? So, there's a lot more things to cover in this update, in this stream, and I do want to make sure that I try and cover everything just to make sure that anything that's important, and I do like making sure that I cover everything in the update just in case, it's useful for some people. So my plan for starting a stream is a bit different. I want to go through the news first, and then after that I will talk about the unit and the arc, and we'll go over everything. I did change the background a bit just to fit the 5th anniversary because I wanted to do something different, but yeah. Let's get right into this 5th anniversary then. There's definitely a lot to talk about this time. So this is always exciting for me, for most people, the anniversaries, especially the 5th anniversary. Probably a lot of people hoping that there's a lot of good updates and a lot of free stuff, which there always is. So let's have a look at the news first. I'm not going to be literally talking over everything, but I do want to make sure that I have a brief look at everything first before we go into reviewing the unit and the arc, because that's usually the first thing we would do, but I want to try doing this first instead this time. So there is a lot in this update, so I just want to briefly look. Yeah, quality of life's always, can't go wrong with that, but so there's a new story. I'm looking forward to doing a new story. I'm not going to be doing it today. I always do the story in my own time because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, and I personally like the story in this game, so I'm definitely going to be starting a story at some point. Ideally, I'm thinking that the next unit might be another story-related unit, so because of that, I want to make sure that I finish the story before the next unit gets teased, because then I might, there might be a new unit showing up in the story that's probably going to come in like 2 weeks, so you never know. So the new Shift Kyle and a UR arc, we'll talk about that very soon after we've looked through everything here. There is a UR arc trade ticket and a unit trade ticket. I won't look at the unit trade ticket because it's not available yet. I will have a look at the UR arc trade ticket and kind of talk about my recommendations for that in a bit once we get to that. And yeah, there are some good stuff here. Organ bonus, don't really talk about it, but free pulls is always good. Story bonus, lot of events, arena promotions, yeah. The event, obviously, there's going to be a time trial, which is expected for the anniversary events, honestly. Anniversary medal trading space, you basically get these medals when you're doing any stage in, the game. You can get these from the event, you can get these from doing story stages, so you could technically auto-farm story stages if you really want to and get these medals. I have been farming the events, that's why I set the original time of the stream to a bit later, because I wanted to make sure that I got everything ready for this. I needed to update everything and farm the event to get all the tickets first, which I have managed to do. It didn't take as long as I was thinking. There is a new multiplayer boss, and I think this is pretty exciting. So multiplayer bosses, we haven't seen many of them, and this is one of those stages which is going to be quite difficult, and you need to go in with a well-built team. If you go in with random players, you're probably going to die horribly, and I tried once, and that is exactly what happened, but I still got decently far, probably like halfway with just one random noob player and myself, so I think this will be pretty fun to try out, and I definitely want to play more with this stage to try and beat it. I don't know how hard it's going to be, but it does say some hints which you got to use ailments, that's pretty important, and breaking the boss, I think, well, and using your special as well, so those things are important. I think Melee's probably going to do very well. I tried using her, she did pretty well, and V is probably going to do very well as well, I assume. So you probably have like Melee, V, and Renna, and that's probably the main 3 units. Logzes boss stage is back. This isn't new, it's just if you haven't beaten it. Only playable in multiplayer as well, so that's another multiplayer stage. If you're new, then you may struggle with that, but it isn't a completely new stage, so it's going to be easier than the other one, probably. Tower of Trials, don't need to talk about any of this. Gachas we'll have a look at soon. There is a UR arc focused gacha, step gacha, which is nice. Yeah, all this stuff. So, some improvements here. I do really like these improvements. This one here, I don't really care too much. Auto set, you probably shouldn't be doing this unless you're just really lazy. But I don't see myself ever using this because I like building the units myself. That's like very important in this game. Building your units the way you want them to be is like the main point of the game. So I'm probably not going to be using this button. But if you're a newer player or someone that doesn't know much or just wants to, you know, be lazy, then you could probably use this button. But I'm not going to use it. Now, here's the thing that I've been asking for an incredibly long time. They finally added this, which is the unlock all button. And as you know, I've been complaining about this, and I've been really wanting this for a long time. So I'm happy that they're actually introducing this, and this will save much time, especially in these streams. Whenever I get the new units, I can just press that button, and then we can be done in like a couple seconds. So this should be great. I know it's just a quality of life button, but you know, I like it because it just saves time, and saving time is the best thing. So changes to arc specifications. This is quite interesting, pretty important. So, all skills can be learned, even at level 1. That's great. And they no longer consume souls on quests and tours, which is great, which means now you can auto-farm story stages with any arc you want, and it's not going to use any souls. So, you could use like a max level Theopolis arc, and you know, put any arcs you want in auto farm story and don't need to worry about your souls, as you're fine. Yeah, that's great. So I think these changes to arcs are very good, and I am glad that they added these. They always do the best updates in the anniversaries, which is great, but I do wish they kind of did more updates like this in between. Notification feature, I don't really care too much about this, but if you like notifications, then sure. That's nice, I guess. So, Descent of Heroes Festival and Crimson Ore's Trading Space. So, Zeka's Foregate is now in the DOH Festival. Right, permanent DOH Festival lineup. That's good, because he is a great unit. He's still very good today, and he's used a lot for a support and a mage. He's pretty great. In Crimson Ore's Trading Space, if you care about their paid equipments, then these 3 units, and mostly these 2, you've got Zeka's Foregate's paid equipments, and Summer Sarah, which is still a great PvP unit, also pretty good in PvE as well as a SCT unit, very good. So you may want to consider getting those paid equipments, but I would recommend having a look first. Hero Ticket Gacha has finally been updated to include a few newer units. Now, this isn't a massive change, but I do like they're adding some units to it because I have been saving them. I had like 2 temple tickets for it and I used them, but I didn't really get anything, so it doesn't matter. But you could potentially get like a Riven or Megius or something, or Moana, and even a Prefect of Godmere would be great to pull on this, so it's a decent banner now, I would think. And some new Godforge alchemy equipments, which is nice. Skill adjustments, so I'm not going to read every single one of these, you can probably check these if you want, but I do like that they're adjusting skill cost of skills, and if I go and check my builds right now, my builds will not be at max SC anymore because of these skill cost changes, which I like because it allows you to build more for your unit, so you can have even more skills equipped, which is great because that's the main point of the game, is building your units with skills and doing whatever you want with skills. So I like this change, and a lot of these that I'm most excited about. Let's see, Terramel 3 and all of the high drive skills got reduced to 10 instead of 11, which is a nice change, but it's not a whole lot, but it does help. Empty-handed, fire attack raise, so all the attack raise skills got reduced by 1 SC, which is great because, as you know, these are pretty good for like counter units. So the attack raise skills, I remember, I'm thinking that I use attack raise 1 and 2 usually on Guile or 2P, or both of them, because that counts towards their counter damage, so that will be very useful for those units. Zodiac attack, power attack and magic got reduced by 2, which is great because those 2 increase your damage and they increase your damage cap, so I like using those skills. I did think that 9SC was a bit expensive, but 7 is actually pretty good now, I think. Auxiliary's protection got reduced to 6, makes sense. Fire weak point breakthrough, all of the weak point breakthrough 2s got reduced to 5. Durability, which we actually use quite a lot in PvP, so that's great. And Robust Plus got reduced to 5, which isn't a massive change, but I still think it's good because I didn't really like Robust Plus. I mean, it was okay, but 6SC was kind of overpriced. Durability was okay for 6SC, but 5 is just even better, so it's great that it can fit more in your builds now. Special Breakthrough 2 got reduced to 4, that's nice. A bunch of shield skills. And that's the main ones that I want to mention, but yeah, that's pretty nice. And the breakthrough skills now got buffed, so now their damage cap is basically doubled for all of these, so that's good. This is the starter banner lineup has a rate up for these 4 units. I still wouldn't recommend to pull on this banner probably, but still nice. Could get Thuria or even Zekka's, pretty good. Other improvements, nothing super major. You can spar your friends or guild members' attack teams with your defense, which I think is interesting because that can allow you to, you know, test your defense team properly against other players' attack teams, so I think that could be fun. One thing that's quite interesting too is when you're pulling an SSR arc or a unit in the gacha, then there's an ability on the gacha results screen for it to, you know, for rare orbs or SR orbs to upgrade and become an SSR arc or unit. So this doesn't change the rates at all, it just makes it kind of a bit more exciting, you know, in a way, but I don't know how this is going to play out. It's probably going to be, you get a bunch of blues and golds, and then randomly it's going to pop up as a red, and you'll be surprised and get something that you didn't think you would have gotten, but it's an okay change, and it does kind of add to the, you know, gacha experience, which I think's good, because you could get something unexpected, because you see a bunch of blues and golds, and you get something from it. You never know. I don't think it's going to be, you know, anything game-changing, but it's still nice to see some change, at least to make it feel more exciting. So then you don't see a bunch of blues and golds and think, oh, this is a rubbish temple, I'm just gonna, you know, jump out this window because this pull's so bad. No, it could be something good. Could get a red from it. That's what I think is going to be nice. But we'll have to see how it plays out, really, and the summons a bit later. Main story bosses have their difficulty adjusted, which, okay, sure. Don't really want to mention anything else here. I don't want to take too long. These packs, you can have a look at these if you want. I think some of these are okay. I am considering getting like some of these. The small, medium, and large I think are pretty good because you do get some good stuff from these. You get tickets, unit ticket gacha, rainbow potion, soul crystal, god relic prism. They are good stuff, so I'm considering getting some of these, but I don't know yet. I would probably think I'm going to wait for the moment, but these 4 are pretty good. And if you're a new player, spending 300 paid crystals for a guaranteed unit ticket is pretty good, because then you can guarantee yourself a new unit most of the time, but it's not guaranteed to be something good. Yeah, that's pretty much it from the news. Don't really want to spend any more time there, I think, because we'll be here all day if I talk about everything. So let's go over to the gacha now and have a look at the new unit and the arc. So go to recommended, have a look at the new Kyle. I didn't think he would get another shift. I mean, he looks pretty cool. I mean, it kind of makes sense that he has another shift now, because in the story he's like the main character and he's very strong, but his current shift form, Night Lord Kyle, is very outdated, and that being a super strong in the story doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I guess them releasing another shift form of Kyle does make some sense in the story, which I like that. So He is a soldier type, even though it's got knight in his name. It is confusing, yeah, sure. He should have been a knight, but it's fine. He's got like fire wings. I do like that quite a lot. Pixel sprite looks very good too. Stats, HP, strength, defense, pretty nice. Absolute resistance is -32 ice because he's going to be... He's not actually a fire unit, he is a light unit, which is strange, but Night Lord Kyle was a fire and light focused unit, but this version of Kyle is more of a light unit, I believe. Helmet resistances look okay, but they're not that great compared to like Arch being melee, who had resistance to everything. I think Arch being melee just kind of spoiled me, and just personally, because she was just way too good for, you know, her kit being so good. So I'm kind of not used to coming back to reality of typical damage dealer units. So let's have a look at skills. These aren't very exciting, and comparing this to Arch being melee is very underwhelming because they're just very simple. Now that can be a good and bad thing, but I do like more unique units with debuffs and supportive skills and stuff like that. So I think this Kyle's not going to be bad, I'm going to say that right now. So his skill 1 is a closer gap skill, and it is a light combo attack. So his skill 1 is 10 hits. It's not very fast though, so you can't really spam it, but it is good for closing the gap. So I still think it would be an okay skill because it's a close the gap skill, but I wouldn't use it for your main damage dealer skill because it's just quite slow. His skill 2 is pretty nice. It's a wide area light combo attack. Now, it's interesting because when I watched this video, it does look like it's a wide attack around the unit. It doesn't say it here that it's around the unit, but it looks like it's around the unit. And it is faster than his skill 1, so I think his skill 2 will be very good. I think it'll be a lot better than his skill 1. But you do have to be close range and use it right up against the enemy's face, but it does have some range to it, so I guess you don't need to be super close, but I do think it will be a nice skill to use. I think a skill 2 definitely better than a skill 1, but skill 1 has a closer gap, so what you would want to do is use a skill 1 and then start doing skill 2 spam maybe. His skill 3 is a charge and deal with frontal wide area light combo attack. It's 22 hits, which is nice, and it doesn't look super fast, but it looks at least better than a skill 1, and since it's got more hit counts, I think it'll be okay, but honestly, I think out of his 3 skills, I like his skill 2 the most because it's the fastest skill out of all 3, so I'll have to see how that plays out. And then his special is a light combo attack to 1 target, so he does 20 hits to 1 target, I think, and then it does a light combo attack to all enemies, so the other 32 hits are going to be against everyone else, which is nice. It doesn't have a whole lot of hits, so I don't think his special is going to do a whole lot, but it can help a bit to do some damage if he has enough damage cap to help that. Traits. So, not as many words as Arch being melee, and Arch being melee was a light unit as well, but she can be dark, so it's weird that they're releasing another light unit back to back. They usually don't do that. They usually, you know, do different elements. They never really release two of the same element units at the same time, or like one after the other, but I guess it's fine. I would have thought it would have been a fire unit instead of light, but whatever. When equipped with only 1 weapon, so it can be any weapon, then light damage 40% and damage cap 40,000 is pretty great. Getting 40,000 damage cap and 40% damage all the time as long as you have 1 weapon. He is going to be a single wield focus unit, which makes sense. When skill attacking enemies that are weak to fire, then there's a chance to deal with powerful fire extra attack. Now this could be very good, but I don't know what the chance is, and I also don't know what the damage is of this. And the problem is, with this, is the fact that it's fire. Reason why I'm saying that is because he probably has a bunch of light damage focused skills, right? And this trait 1 that boosts light damage isn't going to boost the fire damage of this extra attack, so I don't know how much damage this is going to do, but I'm hoping it's a pretty strong extra attack, otherwise it's probably not going to do a whole lot, because he's focused on being a light damage dealer, and having an extra attack that's fire, I can't imagine it doing a whole lot. But I'm hoping that it's pretty decent, we'll have to see. And damage taken minus 30%, just all damage taken, that's pretty good. I don't think he's going to be super tanky. He's not going to compare to Claude, for instance, in PvP, but he could perform pretty well. I just don't know yet. We're going to have to wait and see how he plays out. So trait 1, yeah, pretty basic, but I think it's okay. I wish this powerful fire attack was light instead. That would have been better, because having a unit focused on one element, basically he is focused on being light, but has this random fire extra attack in his trait 1 with no extra fire damage, I think. So that's just why I'm not really too keen on it. Trait 2, won't flinch from fire or dark physical / magic attacks. This is great, but you do have to remember that fire or dark, how many units in the game in PvP use fire or dark attacks? Not many. I mean, there are a couple, like Shift Eliza that uses fire magic, and Claude, yeah, I get that. He could be pretty decent against those units, but he can't. He's still going to get flinched against Blizzard and magic like that, which is the main magic people use in Arena. So if it was Ice, would have been even better, because that's more PvP focused. But this still does help in PvE content, because if a boss is using fire or dark attacks, then he shouldn't flinch from those attacks, and not being able to flinch is incredibly useful, so I think it's okay. I just wish they were better elements than just fire and dark. When unit gets the Oversoul buff, then it restores 1 SCT stock all skills. So if he has a skill called the Oversoul buff, basically, and we'll look at that in a moment, it's basically just he can cast it himself. And when this buff is active, then skill and special damage 50% and damage cap 50,000. That's amazing. That's a lot of damage cap. And won't flinch from all attribute attacks, physical magic. This is great, and this could be amazing in PvP, but what is going to prevent this from being good in PvP is the fact that he doesn't have any way to auto cast this buff, which kind of sucks. So if we go have a look at the skills, I wish I could press the button. There you go. Oversoul's right here. Use all MP to give unit the Oversoul buff for 20 seconds, and you can't use it for another 40 seconds. So you've got to have 100 MP to use it, and then it uses all of your MP, then you've got 0 left, and then you get this buff for only 20 seconds. I'm not a huge fan of it, honestly, because there's a lot of damage and damage cap locked behind that buff, and you've got to use all of your MP just to get that buff for 20 seconds, so I'm not a huge fan, because if you want to use Honey Elixir, then that requires all of your MP, so it doesn't really work unless you have an SCT unit in the team as well. So I think it could be decent to like do a bunch of burst damage. You use the buff and you have another unit in the team that can use Honey Elixir, and then should be great. Working on auto could be pretty nice, but it's not going to be a good PvP skill whatsoever, so he is definitely focused on being a PvE unit, which is completely fine. I always try to picture how they're going to perform in both content. So what I'm seeing so far, he's probably going to perform very well in PvE, but do you really need something like this? Because I don't know if his DPS is even going to be anything game-changing, so that's the thing. He's probably going to be very good, but it's just DPS is more important these days. Well, always has been. So let's have a look at the skills. He's also got a charisma, which is nice. Damage to boss monsters 20% and damage cap 3000. So this is all damage, which is really good. And also damage taken from bosses minus 20%. I really like this charisma, honestly. Against bosses, this is probably the best charisma that we have. because you do more damage and you take less damage, and everyone gets 3000 damage cap, so it's probably the best charisma against bosses for sure. I do like this one. You're probably best to use this in most cases against bosses. I think this will be pretty good. It does seem like he's trying to be a boss killer, which I think those units are usually fun, but we don't really have much content that really needs them. That's why I'm not super excited about boss killer PvE units anymore, but I still think they're fun and are going to perform pretty well. So attack up max, fighting spirit 4, heroism up 4, critical up 3 and proud force. Pretty nice skills. Having critical up 3 is nice. I wish they did change the SC cost of crit up 3, because I still think 7 is a bit expensive. Royal armor, chance to nullify critical attacks, just nice. Divinity buster makes sense, because, you know, most enemies, most bosses are going to be god type, at least in the story and stuff, so this is great to have. This is less of a PvP focused skill and more useful in PvE, I think. It's still good in PvP, but wouldn't really super recommend it. Anti-type shield. Human Buster is way better for PvP. Auto Grand Brave, High Protection, Auto Critical, Haste. You've got all of the skills you need, apart from Speed. That rhymes. Heavy Armor 2. Very nice. Pride 2. Light Drive and High Drive. Here we go. Light Drive, Breakthrough 2. That's a new one. More damage cap. Okay. Light Attack Raise 4. So, here's the thing is, like I said, he's got an extra fire attack in his trait 1, and now he's got a bunch of light attack raise skills, and a bunch of light damage, which won't boost the extra attack, the fire extra attack damage, which just doesn't, it annoys me, because it should synergize with the kit, and not just be something there for the sake of being there, you know. But I'm hoping it still does decent damage even without the fire attack raise skills. It could have been a hybrid fire / light damage dealer unit, which I think would have been better, but it is what it is. Pose of Glory, Shockwave, Favored Sword, Instant Strike, we don't see super often. There's a chance for your critical attacks to deal 150% more damage and have 15,000 damage cap. It is quite nice in PvP, honestly, because you can randomly get a very high damage hit and probably one-hit someone occasionally, which is nice. Two-handed sword boost 4, we're getting up in numbers now, even higher numbers. 30% damage, 12,000 damage cap. So he does have some decent damage and damage cap skills. That's mostly what he's focused on being as a damage dealer, I think. He can probably tank some damage too. Sword Giga Boosts, okay, sure. He doesn't have Mega Boost, obviously they would do this. They'd always do this. Armor HP plus 3. Indomitable Spirit. Giant Killing 4. Okay. Pale Flame's a new one. Damage 30%, damage cap 5,000 to Divinity types. And damage taken minus 20%. Very nice. Definitely focused on, you know, being a Divinity Slayer type unit, which is fine. Against God type enemies he's probably going to do very well, I would think. But against human type enemies not as well. Blade of Justice, when equipped with only one weapon, then equip weapon strength 50%. If it's a light weapon, then it boosts it by 50% more. Some good strength there. For PvE, I think this will be pretty nice, because strength is useful in PvE, because we've had a lot of very high defense bosses over the past quite a while, so that's nice. He doesn't really have that many unique skills, but he does have a lot of new Sixth Enhanced skills, which is great. The last skill here, when all other allies are incapacitated, then 50% more damage and take 50% less damage. This is great, but when is this going to happen? Like, never. And if you're using him in round 1 of guild battles, I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. It's not going to do anything because it requires allies to be incapacitated, so it probably checks for that specifically, and if everyone is dead apart from Kyle. So if he's by himself, he's probably going to do very well, but only if you have an ally that's dead. But that usually isn't going to happen, so I feel like this skill's not really going to get used very much. You're not really going to get much benefit from this most of the time. Rarely you could if he's the only unit alive in your team, which shouldn't be the case because you should have a support healer, which should be alive most of the time, like Renner. Now we get onto the new Sick Enhanced skills. So this is quite good, and I'm hoping that they release this for newer units going forward, because I do like this idea, and they should have done this to begin with. So skill damage 15%, 5,000 damage cap. If you have one weapon, then 10,000 more, so he's going to get 10,000 damage cap. Take 15% less magic damage. When you have a sword, then 10% more damage, 5,000 damage cap. If you only have one sword, then 10,000 damage cap. You definitely want to have one sword equipped on him for sure. We have a lot of sword weapons available, so it should be pretty easy to equip a solid sword. And then armor mastery. When you have an armor, then armor defense plus 50% and damage taken minus 10%. And then restore NCT by 15 seconds for skill 1. I do like these Sick Enhanced skills because they're different. Some of these are the same, like this is just damage cap and that's just take less magic damage. Those are the same, but the rest of the skills are quite new, and I do like them because having more damage on Sick Enhanced skills is very useful. I would say it's more useful because, you know, more damage the better. And I do like this one the most probably because you get damage and damage cap, so I like these Sick Enhanced skills a lot more than the original Sick Enhanced skills, because those just only increased damage caps of skills or magic and specials, so they weren't really that crazy, and most of the time you can just skip those, and I have been doing that a lot of the time, is just skipping these Sick Enhanced skills that give special damage cap because I don't care about them, but these are a lot better. So I do like his kit. I think it's very nice, but it does seem like he's focused on being a PvE unit, so in PvP I don't think he's going to perform super well, but there's a chance that he has good damage modifiers and can tank a little bit, and if that's the case then he's probably going to perform well in PvP too, but I don't see that happening, and you're probably better off using Claude because he's a very strong PvP unit and even good in PvE, so Claude is probably still better. I'm not comparing the two, I'm just saying that I don't think Kyle's going to be an amazing PvP unit, but in PvE, he should be very good, and probably, you know, one of the better PvE units, but not a DPS. I don't think his DPS is going to be crazy good. I just think his performance overall, allowing you to beat content, should be very good. That's what it looks like to me. He can tank, at least somewhat, some damage, and he has good damage modifiers and a lot, you know, focused on doing boss damage, and has Divinity Slayer, so he's going to be great in PvE, and I think he should be pretty fun to use as well. So I'm going to leave that there for Kyle. I originally wasn't super excited about him because, you know, he's just a more basic damage dealer unit, and I still feel like that, but I do think he's going to perform pretty well, and I'm excited to see how he performs, really, because that's just all it comes down to in the end. But if you do get Kyle, I think he's going to be great, especially if you're a new player. He's going to allow you to beat story content and probably some hard stages a lot better, so here's a nice unit to have for sure. So now let's have a look at the arc, which honestly I'm more excited about this arc. I would really like to get this Soul Blade arc. I know it's another UR arc and I expected that to happen. I'm not surprised really. So the trait, let's start there. I think this is a very good trait. So physical and special damage 30% and damage cap 3000. What's great about this is it's all physical and special damage and cap. So you don't need to have a specific weapon, and it's not even a specific attribute. That's what makes this trait so good. You can use this on literally anyone in the game. Any physical damage dealer can use this trait just for that, which is why I think this is amazing. And it gets even better when you have a sword equipped, then it gives physical attacks and special attacks and anti-divinity type effect. So this is equivalent to like the Mia Lumere UR arc that had Human Slayer when you have a sword equipped, kind of equivalent to that, but this one's better because you also get the damage when you physical damage, so it's very good. I think this would be great. Let's say you have a damage dealer in PvP that has Human Slayer. So let's say you're using Arch being melee, for instance, who has Human Slayer. You can then put this arc on her and give her Divinity Slayer as well, and also 30% more physical damage. So I think this trait's going to be very good for PvP and just everywhere. Honestly, you can use it everywhere. Probably better in PvE, I don't know. It's just a very good trait. I like this trait. And also damage taken from divinity types minus 20%. It's just a very good trait. I know it's focused on divinity types, but it's just a very good trait. I like this trait. I probably see myself using this a lot. And what makes it even better is the arc skill. I want to talk about the arc skill right now. So give all allies a physical attack damage 30% at damage cap, 10,000 buff. I've been wanting this for a very long time and it's finally here, so you can see why I really want this arc. Giving all allies a physical damage cap buff, so good. You can use this on a support if you really want to, and then you can give your entire team a physical damage cap buff. Very good. But it doesn't stop there. You even get a damage cap plus 10,000 against bosses buff, and damage taken from bosses minus 50% buff. So against bosses, if you equip this on your main damage dealer, you're going to be getting so much damage cap, it's ridiculous at this point, because it's not locked to being a single wield unit. That's what makes it so good. You can use this on like 2P if you really want to, because she's dual wield, and if you do that and use this arc skill at level 10, you're just giving a dual wield unit 20,000 damage cap, as long as they're a boss, which is crazy. So I like this skill so much. I definitely see myself using this a lot of the time if I do manage to get this. I'm very much considering pitying this arc, but I do want to take my time with it and not just rush and get it now, because it's smarter to do it that way. We've got a lot of time. So a very good trait and a very good arc skill. I like both of these. These are great. And now the learnable skills, I think these are pretty solid as well. So Fighting Spirit 3, that's okay. This one's a new one. Give a damage taken plus 20% debuff to the enemy that defeats the unit for 5 SC. It's okay. I feel like we have some skills similar to this. I think there's a skill that does probably damage dealt minus 20% debuff to the enemy. That's the one I'm thinking of. It's kind of similar to this, but for 5 SC, I don't know if I'd use it, but you could potentially use it on like a suicide build on some units. You could put it on Skelly if you want. It can be used, so I think it's an okay skill. God Saber, 10% damage and 1000 damage cap to God type enemies for 5 SC. It's okay. If you know you're going up against a boss that is a God type, then I think this skill would be very good for that. But I wouldn't put it on my build that I would use for everything. I would only use it for a specific build that I know I'm going up against a boss that is a God type. So here are the final two skills that I think make this arc even more valuable. You get two-handed sword boost 2. I don't know if we had this on a other arc, but I don't think so. When you have one sword equipped, then you get 20% damage and 6,000 damage cap. That's pretty good, but it is 13 SC, so it's a bit expensive, but for the damage cap you're getting, I think it's probably worth it. And you also get 20% damage, so I think it's a pretty good skill. Also, light attack raise 3. Shift Kyle doesn't have this skill, he has light attack raise 4 and not 3. They did it on purpose. I know they did. Light attack damage 30% at damage cap 2000, 15 SC. I think it's okay. If we get like a light counter unit in the future that doesn't have light attack raise 3, then sure, you can put it on them if you want, that'll be funny, but it's a very good arc. It has a lot of good things, very good trait, very good arc skill, and very good learnable skills too, so I like this arc. The arc for rewards isn't as exciting, I think, but it's still okay. Damage to divinity types plus 10%, and damage taken from divinity types minus 15%. Again, if you're going up against an enemy that you know is a divinity type, this will be very good for that specific battle, but in PvP, I probably wouldn't use it. This will only be used when I know I'm going up against probably a god type boss. So this arc is aimed heavily towards divinity enemies and god type enemies. And also it would be amazing on Kyle as well, for sure. This will probably be, you know, one of his best arc options, but Kyle already has Divinity Slayer, so he's not going to get much benefit from the Divinity Slayer. He's not going to get any benefit there, but he will get the rest of the benefits, which is 30% damage and the damage cap, and take 20% less damage, so I still think it's nice. I do think this is worth pitying if you're willing to spend the paid crystals on a step gacha, but if you're not, and if you're free to play, then just don't worry about it and try and get it free to play if you can, because it's a pretty nice arc, definitely worth having for sure. Pretty much everyone could use this, but just don't chase for it, because chasing for UR arcs is always a terrible idea unless you know you're going to pity it. So I would just recommend not waste all your crystals, because it's a bad idea. It's always a bad idea to do that. You should take the time, spend your tickets first, try not to spend many crystals. If you have some paid crystals, then try and do the daily paid pull, because that's the cheapest way. Maybe do some step gachas if you want, and kind of hope you get it from tickets, or just take your time with it and hope that you get lucky with it. That's kind of the best advice I have, because that's really all we got to do in gacha games. But if you do spend enough, then you could pity this for quote-unquote cheap. I say that because in this game it is technically cheap, but in real mine it's not cheap at all. So I think it's a very good arc. I would very much like to have this, and I tell you what I'm going to do. If this banner disappears, before this banner disappears, I'm going to have this arc, that's a guarantee. I'm going to be getting this arc no matter what, but I'm going to take my time with it. I don't want to pity it today, but I do still want to try and pull it. I'm going to hope to get it, but if we don't, then I'm still going to try and get it, but not go super hard. I'm going to be probably doing the daily pulls and try and get it from those if I don't get it today, and the tickets. If I end up not getting it when it's close to the end, then I'm just going to be doing a step gacha, because if you do step 3, then you can get a guaranteed ticket to trade for the new arc. And this is pretty worth it if you're someone that spends on this game. This is worth doing for sure, but it is still expensive. But in this game, the amount of crystals that you're spending to do this is worth it, compared to spending 30,000 paid crystals for guaranteeing a new unit in a step gacha. This is way better. I'm definitely going to be doing at least step 1, but I don't know if I'm going to do step 2 and 3. We're going to see how it goes in a bit, very soon. So let's go to the trading space next, because I do want to have a look at Kyle's paid equipment. He does have only one paid sword. It looks pretty nice, but I don't know if I'm going to be pitying it. There is a UR arc trading space. I'll look at that in a moment. Let's have a look at the paid equipment first. So he has a Soul Blade Light Absolute Sword. It's got pretty nice stats, I think. When only one weapon is equipped, then light, skill, and special damage 40%. 40% is crazy for a weapon, and 10,000 damage cap is also crazy. This is just a lot, but you've got to remember, this is a very expensive weapon. Light attack, crit rate 5%, that's alright, and at the start of battle restore 1 SET stock for 1 skill randomly. Basically another quick trigger, so you could put on quick trigger and this weapon, and you have basically 2 quick triggers skills. So this is obviously going to be his best weapon to use, but you don't need it because it's 50 credentials. I wouldn't recommend just pulling 50 credentials to get this, but if you're close to it, or if you have 50 credentials, you might as well trade for it, because it is going to be his best sword to use. So I wouldn't recommend to pull only to get this weapon, because that's a stupid idea, unless you're really close or you have enough credentials already. That's pretty much what I think. There isn't really much else to say. It's kind of quick. There is only one and because 50 credentials, I wouldn't recommend it for most players. But yeah, if you're free to play, don't worry about it. I know it's a crazy weapon, but I don't think it's necessary. There's a lot of good swords in the game that you're fine without it, and I don't know if I would get it. Honestly, if I manage to get super lucky with Kyle and the UR arc and not have many credentials, I would just completely skip this weapon and not worry about it. But if I do get close to the credentials, I'd probably consider getting it. Or if I have 50, obviously I'll trade for it, but I'm not going to go out of my way just to get it specifically. That's what I think. So we're going to leave that there. Let's have a look at everything else in the training space, then I do want to start summons very soon. I have been kind of going through very quickly, but I don't want to waste any time. I want to make sure I cover everything. So, URARC training space. There's a lot of URARCs available here. I'm going to give my kind of options, the best options I'm going to mention, kind of in order, maybe. But it really depends on what your account has, so I can't say specifically for you what you should have. But if you're literally just starting, obviously you probably shouldn't be pulling... You probably shouldn't be selecting one yet, in case you get one from the banner, but honestly, now I'm thinking about it, you can't get any from the banner because there's no banner with every UR arc available. So if you're completely new, I think the best arc in the game, best UR arc in here, is probably Theopolis, because this one is the one that I see myself using more than other UR arcs in the game. So I'd probably rank Theopolis as the #1 choice if you don't have it. And then #2 is probably Great War of Ruin, because I still use it quite a bit and I like it a lot. It isn't as good as it was when it released, but it's still very good and valuable. That's why I'd recommend it as a second choice. And then if you've got both of those, then it becomes more difficult for an option. I do think there are a lot of good ones. Mecha God Metatron is a very good one. If you don't have Honey Elixir or Winry's Apple Pie, then I think Metatron is going to be a very good option. I strongly recommend considering this one and having a look, depending on what you have on your account. So I would recommend that as probably #3, or I'm going to stop ranking them at this point. I'm just going to say recommendations because I'm not really good at ranking stuff. Apropolica is a very good PvP focused arc, so if you care about PvP you should probably select this one because the arc trait is just very good for PvP. Summon Spirits I haven't been using very much, honestly. Even though I have it at arc skill level 10, I haven't really used it much, so I still think it's good. You could get it if you want, it depends what you have, but I would recommend obviously the other options first. Triumpers is good. After that, Prefect of God is good. I just kind of recommend Great War of Ruin and Theopolis first as your first two options. Theopolis first, and then Great War of Ruin. After that, just check what your account has. And then depending on what your account has, you can choose one of these. And depending on what content you care about, that really depends. I can't really say what you should be getting because it depends on each different person's account. So there are a couple good ones, there are a lot of good ones. Some of them that I wouldn't really recommend selecting. Lillehammer is alright, but there are better options. Master of Sands I don't really use too much, so I wouldn't really recommend selecting that. Bull Meat is it's alright, but it's not the best. I wouldn't really recommend it either. April Nexus, I don't really recommend that either. Holy War is a pretty good one. I think that's okay to select. It's actually a pretty good arc. Archbeing Eldravan is pretty good too. Melimere is pretty good. Amaterasu, I wouldn't really recommend a trade for it. Council Tenant is quite good, but only at higher level arc skills, but even then I haven't really used it that much. Loxair's God of Ruin is kind of average. It's not great, but has some usage, I think. Kagosuchi has a good arc key for reward, Fire Sword, but apart from that, doesn't have much going for it. Lily Matter's pretty solid. I do consider this a decent option. Sky Fortress Solaris, I think still a okay arc. And Eldravana, this one, not that great compared to the other options, so yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I can't really recommend a specific one, but just make sure you have Theopolis and Great Wolverine first, and after that, just check your account. Depends on what you have. That's really all I can say for my options. Equipment, credential, trading space, I'm not really going to go over this because it really depends on what you have in your account again. So, I'm going to be making my decision once I've gotten the tickets and had a proper look through all of these, but I'm not going to be doing that today because we don't even have a ticket for that yet. Anniversary medal trading space, you can get some tickets which I've already traded for, you can get some stamps and some good stuff in here. You get these medals from doing any stage in the game, so if you're auto farming story, you can get those medals. You can also get those medals from doing the event pretty quickly if you're farming the event a lot, which is what I have done today. And this is the event trading space. There isn't really much to it, just a normal, typical event. It does have some tickets in there, so make sure to get those soon. Or that's the first thing I trade for. Everything else is good. Got Reddit Prism, just typical stuff, don't need to mention it. Everything else, these ARC trade tickets are from the step gacha. I'm missing Kronos in the new ARC, obviously. If I get this ticket, I would select Kronos, because it's the only one I'm missing from there, and then this one I could select Soul Blade, so I'm considering doing that, but not yet. So yeah, that's everything in the training space that I want to talk about, so let's leave that there for the moment. It's everything there in the trading space. I do have some more things I want to do. That's pretty much everything I want to talk about. Let's go over to the summons next. This is the more worrying part, because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm really hoping we get some good stuff today. The only one thing that I want is the Arc. I don't want anything else really, honestly. I just want the Arc. If we get the Arc, then I'll be happy, and then I can skip the rest, but if we don't, I really don't expect anything, but we'll see. If we get Kyle, I think that'll be great, but there is a couple things I'm missing. I'm missing Shift Logia, so if he shows up, I'll be quite sad, because I don't want him really. I'm not going to use him at all. Only thing he's going to be good for is getting up to level 100 and getting 1,000 free crystals. So let's do the 8 pulls first, and then the 10 pull. All of these tickets I've got for free from the event and login and stuff, so if you farmed a lot today, then you can get up to 18 tickets. So let's use all of these tickets. I don't expect to get anything from tickets, and we can probably see the new animations here with the random red orb showing up. There's probably nothing in here because nobody's showing up. Yeah, obviously, I'm going to watch it anyway because I want to take my time with this today, but nothing in this 8 pulls, obviously, unless something special happens, but I really doubt it. URARC is the one thing that I really want today. Obviously not expecting any reds. I want to see how it happens. Can you get a red even though it doesn't show up as a red at the end? I don't think so. I think the orb still needs to turn red, doesn't it? I would expect. I don't really know. I'm going to be doing some testing. 3 is good. A blue's not good. But everyone showing up is good. It needs to have at least 2 or 3 animations. I would say at least 3. 1 or 0 is not going to be good enough. That's what I think. Nah, there's nothing in this temple either, is there? No. I mean, I don't know if there could be a red. I don't think so. Nah. None of those are going to go to a red. Randomly. Instantly change from blue or yellow that it was. I did use 2 temple tickets for a different banner and noticed it, where I got a bunch of blues and golds, and a couple of them, like 3 of them, turned to red randomly, but I didn't watch the animation, so I didn't really know what happened, so I don't know what to expect. That was very sad. Now I do want to do lap 1. It should be all banners. There's a change to all banners, I believe. I'm going to do lap 1, and I'm going to do step 1 here and see what we get. And then after that, I think I'm going to be doing a decent amount of free crystals, maybe. This one's probably a skip unless it's gold, which is not. Obviously not going to watch that. Haven't even gotten a red yet, which is very sad. I would very much like the Arc so badly. I really want it, because I will get it to level 10. arc skill instantly if I do manage to get it. But I probably won't. Zekka's gold is better, but he's by himself. I don't feel any hope for this one either. 1, 2, 3 is usually a red, but there is one, okay. Could be something, probably not. It's an arc. Could be the UR arc, but I really highly doubt it, because it's just not. The rate up on UR arcs is so terrible that you should expect a dupe from this 100% of the time. See? How come I don't have that 100%? I don't know. It's a newer one, I think. 0.4% is just terrible. You're more likely to get an off rate up arc than a UR arc, because it's just terrible. I wish the rate up was better than this game. 0.4% should be higher. Even the unit rate up should be higher. Nope, nobody there. There's a gold. I'm gonna watch it anyways, but I don't think there's gonna be anything in this one unless animations. 1, not enough. 2, I don't think so either. No. I don't know if there's any extra animations or anything that goes on. Not gonna be a red there. I'm secretly hoping that a red shows up out of nowhere, but I don't know. I don't know what happens. This is the free 10 pool, which gives me the most hope. After this, it just gets way more expensive. Zekka's, sure, that's okay. We've had this happen already, where it was 3 animations and it was a red, so there's a chance, but it's not likely. The reason why I'm saying that is the animation is probably going to screw me over. 2 is okay. 3 should be a red because it was last time. Yeah. No extra animation, which is fine. And there is 1 at the bottom, not sure why not. Obviously going to be a dupe. Because you should expect dupes in this game. The rate up's so terrible that you can't expect anything to be new. Especially if you've been playing for a long time. So, I want to do step 1 on this and then probably not do any more at the moment. Because I am considering doing this entire step, this entire lap, but I don't want to do that yet. Let's just do this one. We're probably not going to get anything, it's probably going to be a bunch of reds and nothing else, because this doesn't guarantee a UR arc anymore. It guarantees 9 SSR plus things, and then 1 guaranteed DOH unit at the bottom. So this does have the highest chance of being something new, but it's still low. Watch how many dupes we're going to get from here. All of them, that's my guess. I'm not going to say anything, I'm just going to wait and see what happens, but I know what's going to happen. We don't need an extra animation because we know what's going to be in there. We know it's going to be a bunch of red dupes. We already know that. Of course. There's an arc dupe, which I didn't expect, but, you know, I kind of expected that, to get a bunch of dupes, but when you have everything, apart from the new things, it's basically what happens. Getting the extra bonuses from that, though, I think is pretty good. I still think that's worth doing, step 1. So, I do want to do step 2 and 3, but I don't really want to do those right now, because I do want to do some free crystals, because I have a lot of those saved. So, I'm hoping I get lucky and get those get the arc from free crystals, but I probably won't. Most likely not going to. So how does this work? The chance of a UR arc higher than what it was. The only good thing about this is I could get Kronos arc, but I don't really care too much about it. Let's do some free crystals now. I still want to try and get the arc, so we're going to keep going for a little bit. I do still want to get this. I know we're probably gonna get some more tickets and stuff, so I don't want to pity anything yet. This one's a skip, but I don't want to skip. I don't want to skip. Just because I want to see what happens. Even though I know there's nothing in this temple, I'm gonna watch it anyway. For science. Obviously expect nothing from that one. This is terrible, you know. No. We don't like seeing blues. Blues are terrible unless they're dark blue for a UR arc. And not a dupe. 1 is not enough. 2 is a maybe, but probably not. 3 should be, but I don't know. It's not always. There's a red. He's an arc. Can you be the UR arc so we can be finished? I don't think so. Probably not. Definitely not. Is there only one? Yeah. Oh, it's the arc. I actually got it. Wow. I didn't think that would show up, you know. I didn't think I would. That's great. That means I don't actually have to pity. Great. You know what? Sure. Why not? There could be another red in there randomly, but there's not. So we didn't see any extra hidden red orbs, which is weird. So I don't know what my plan is for Kyle now, because honestly I thought we would get him while trying to go for the arc, so I don't really know what I want to do. I do kind of want to still try and get Kyle, but I did say I wasn't too fussed about getting him, but I don't know yet. So yeah, I definitely am not going to be doing a step gacha anymore. I don't need to do this. I could get Kronos for 8,700 paid crystals, but I don't really care about that arc, so I'm just gonna not bother with that. Let's go to the trading space and have a look at what we've got so far. I might do a couple more summons to try and get Kyle, but I'm not gonna go super hard on the banner just to try and get him, because he hasn't even been tested yet. I don't know how he's going to perform. So yeah, no tickets or anything there. Credential training space, I got 21. Probably not going to get his paid sword. 42 is actually pretty good. It's pretty great. Definitely not going to be pitting anything, which is good. Great news. They really need to lower the pity. 400 is too much. So, I don't know what my plan is anymore, if I'm honest. I would still like to try and pull him, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do just for you is one more 10 pull, and then maybe a couple singles, and then leave it there for today. Just in case. Kai would still be nice to have. I like story units, but I'm not going to be going super hard. This one's going to be a terrible 10 pull. I shouldn't have done this. There's not even anything in this one. 1, 2, 3 is the highest, but there's a red. Okay, sure. Can it be Kyle? No. Maybe? Don't be... Thank God. I thought that was going to be Shift Logia for a second. I really did. I was gonna cry if it was. I need the power to fight. Soul Blade, use my life. Oh. I get it. I just put those two things together. Soul Blade basically takes the power of the unit, the user, or the soul, whatever you want to call it. Use their life force to give power. Give me the power to take down my enemies. No, the power to carve open the future. Well, we're done. That was the best summon session. Not the best, but very good summon. Pretty good. Well, I'm glad I did that 10 pull. I could have done singles, but I'm not going to complain at all. I'm not complaining. The only thing that I didn't get to show was the new summon, you know, animation stuff, where you randomly get a red out of nowhere. Didn't get to show that because it didn't happen, which is weird because I thought it would, but it's fine. It's gonna happen in the future. It's a permanent addition. I don't need to worry about it. So, I think for now, I'm just gonna be saving. I think. Yeah, that's pretty great. So, now we've done the summons, I do want to start looking at Kyle very soon in a moment, and showcase him, look at the event. I don't think there's much else after that. It's actually going to be my birthday very soon, so this is kind of like a birthday stream for me, in a sense. So it's a pretty good stream. So let's just check the trading space just to make sure what we have done. So 21 credentials. I'm not going to be getting this sword, I think, but it really depends. I don't think I'm going to get this. It would be very nice, but I'm not going to be spending, you know, 29 pulls worth of paid crystals just to get a weapon. It's just stupid, because that would be equivalent to 30 pulls, which is 9,000 paid crystals for a weapon. I wouldn't recommend doing that at all, so I'm just not going to get this. I'm going to skip it and go for the free-to-play builds. Baby. Gotta love the free-to-play style builds. I'm probably going to get the Kyle Prism there, but I'm going to leave that for the moment, just in case I change my mind later. 52 summons. I'm going to be trading the rest for Crimson Ore. Great. Love that. Now I do want to put Kyle on my home screen. Looks very cool, I do like it. And then now I can switch to the Steam version, and then we can finally use the magic unlock all button. So excited just for a button. Never been so excited to press a button in my entire life. Until now. Where's the button? This one. Wait. Close that. Open it again. There we go. So, let's start building Kyle then, and then I want to try him out. Do recommend equipment stuff. Should be fun. For sure. Just so you know, I have been using melee a lot, if you can tell. Plus 30, right? I'm actually saving 3 FC now because of the skill adjustments. Pretty nice. I do think she's amazing. She is up on the tier list now. I did kind of help with the PvP rating because I think her in PvP is actually pretty strong. I have figured out a team. I'll probably talk about that later. Let's have a look at Kyle now. So, I'm going to use, obviously, I'm going to use a rainbow potion. Get a bunch of XP. That's going to give me 1,000 crystals back as well. Cool. Never misses a meal. Great. So, if I go to unlock abilities, look at this button. Wow. I love that. I already like that so much. That should have been a thing ages ago. Why are they only just releasing it right now? Light damage cap 200. You know what? That's fine. That's pretty okay. See how fast that was? Just press a button and everything's done. I love it. Now we can go to 50 hearts already. There's going to be so much faster. This saves so much time for the stream. I thought the stream would be longer because I thought I would have taken so much time on the stream, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. I'll burn my life and fight. Sure, why not? I wouldn't recommend setting yourself on fire, but you do you, I guess. I should have enough materials for everything, which I do. There we go. That's everything in just a matter of a minute or a couple of seconds, and everything's taught already. Love that. So, we're going to leave him at level 100 for the moment. Now, I do want to have a look at recommended equipment for Kyle. I'll tell you something I didn't do, and I kind of forgot. I didn't prepare myself for Kyle, so I didn't teach him everything. But I believe I do have a bunch of stuff taught on him already, so it should be fine. So, he does require a sword, basically. You should be using one sword, because he does have sword boosts in his kit. He has a lot of damage cap and damage locked behind having a single sword weapon, so that should be quite easy for pretty much everyone, because there are a lot of sword options. He is a light damage dealer. Obviously, Muramasa is going to be a very good option. 25% physical damage, sure, but you could go for something like a light sword, which may be better. Sword of Lost Soul is pretty good. There's just so many good options. This one's pretty great. Like physical damage, battle start, and close to death, autocast grab, autocast brave aura speed. The trait doesn't really matter. I mean, you get 25% like physical damage, but you get more strength, defense, mind. I think it's an okay sword. You could use that. This one could be okay. There isn't really much else, but there are a lot of good sword options. If you don't have his paid sword, you still do have good options, but his damage cap's going to be quite a lot lower if you don't have his paid sword, which I do think sucks. Losing out on 10,000 damage cap just feels very bad, but it's fine, I guess. You don't need... I realised that you don't need all the damage cap. You really don't. It's just not necessary whatsoever. 10,000 damage cap isn't the end of the world. You don't need it. Yeah, there isn't really anything else good here, but the best swords, you can just use any of the best sword options. If you got these, you should do. Probably use Muramasa. For the moment, I'm probably going to use this one, because I like physical damage, high strength, might as well put that on. Now, for armors, I don't know if he can equip clothes, because some of his skills, I don't know if they require having an armor, or if they work with clothes, but I think you could go with either clothes or an armor. I would probably recommend clothes because they're usually better for a damage dealer, so definitely this one would be very good. But funnily enough, we have this one that exists. More physical damage to divinity types, and damage taken minus 15% from divinity types as well. This works very well for Kyle because he has Divinity Slayer, and if you've got the URARC as well that has divinity type stuff. So this does synergize quite well with Kyle, but I would recommend this one just because I like this one the most. Gives you 15% skill damage and movement speed, which is why I like it the most, but you also take less physical damage, so I'm definitely going to be using that for sure. These two weapons for the moment I think are going to be fine. Accessories, again, very similar to story to Arch being melee, because they are both a light damage dealer and use a sword, so you should have a lot of options for Kyle. You can use Mithril Relief because, you know, you're going to have a sword, and it boosts movement speed and gives you skill damage, so that's very good. Anything which gives light attack damage is going to be useful, or anything with physical damage is going to be worth using. Equilibrium Sphere, definitely amazing. I would probably consider using that, honestly. If I didn't have it on melee right now, I would use it. Sun God Majitama, I think I might consider this. I mean, 10% light attack damage isn't as much, 15%, but The element resistances are good, that's why I think it's a good accessory, so I'm considering using that one. This one, if you're up against bosses, then you could use this. This would be pretty great. We do have a lot of good options, so... Actually, this one. Might use this one, honestly. Nullify strength / defense debuffs from active skills. Could be pretty nice. Anything else like this, obviously, that can be used on anyone, so Kyle can use it too. I'm just gonna say, damage cap accessories and stuff, I wouldn't really recommend it because he's a single wield unit, so 1000 damage cap isn't gonna benefit him that much because he's single wield, so I wouldn't recommend using anything like that. Just try and focus on his skill damage, probably. This one will be pretty good. Anything else? Not really, so I think I'm definitely going to be going for just accessories like this. I'm going to put that one on, and probably Mithril Relief, maybe. Yes. So we're going to go with this for the moment. I think this build is going to be completely fine. If you're free to play, you can use this build if you have all of the arcs and Godforge equipment. Most of these are Godforge equipment. This one's from an SSR arc, this one's from a UR arc. I think these two are probably Godforge equipment, so I know this one is. The armor is. The sword probably is too, so... It's pretty easy to build Kyle, I think. So I'm going to stick with this for now. I think this should be pretty good. So, what's his stats looking like right now? 3500 strength, that's pretty good. I like those stats. I could do with more stun and curse resistance, honestly. Which is why some other accessory which boosts curse and stun resistance would be very good. Which is this one. That's why I think this would be a good option. Because you get stun and curse resistance, which he kind of needs. Even Equilibrium Sphere gives curse resistance as well. Pretty nice. But I'm going to leave that for now. Let's awaken him as much as we can. We should be able to do a couple of these to increase his stats by a bit. Power of the Soul Blade. Sure. So we started off as plain old Kyle, then Night Lord Kyle, and now we've got Pale Flame. I guess it makes sense, even though he's not a fire damage dealer. Pale Flame, because it's pale, I guess it makes sense that it's light in some way. I don't think it's the same sword as Night Lord Kyle. This was the Kagosuchi sword. This one's a different sword, I think, than the other two Kyles. At least that's what it looks like. Yeah, definitely. Like, it's very glowy on his 2D sprite. Super hot. It's like a 1000-degree knife sword, basically. I am very interested in what happens in the story, so we don't talk about spoilers in here, but I'm definitely going to be doing that at some point, but I'm probably not going to get around to doing that soon because I'm busy tomorrow, obviously doing birthday stuff, and today, I guess I could, but I'm probably going to be focusing on the event and stuff. Yeah, I was thinking that too, that I swear they were 100 and not 200, so Kyle is kind of starting a new trend for units. It's kind of equivalent to like a 7th enhance, but not that extreme, more of like a 6.5 enhance, which is nice because it does add more to the units and makes them more interesting, so I think it's nice. Wards are now better. Wards should be better on future units, if that's the case. And their 6th enhanced skills should be better on future units as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what units are coming out very soon. I'm gonna have to see Who knows? There's probably going to be a collab after the anniversary or something stupid. I don't know. I'm not thinking about that right now. So let's use Honey Elixir and try him out with base skills to see how he performs by himself. I don't know what I'm expecting. I think his damage should be alright, but I don't know how much it's going to do. I'm used to scrolling, but it's actually up here. Funny enough. I should level this up. If I had one of those. I'm just going to level this up. I think my cat wants attention. He's playing by himself outside my room with a box. It's funny. He likes boxes. We have like 3 boxes in the house just for cats. They don't need boxes. At least they're cheap. So at level 5 it gets the Divinity Slayer. Honestly, it doesn't really matter on what level the trait, you know, improves anymore, because you can just use the arc at the max level and it's not going to cost souls to use the arc anymore. I don't think we can get its level 10 yet, but should be about 8. Yeah. Yeah, so at level 8 it gets take less damage from divinity types. Pretty nice. Gonna have to leave that there for the moment. Good thing is you don't need to level up arcs anymore. This is very weird because we've played this game for many years, or at least I have played this game for like 5 years. So it's strange that you don't have to level the arc up to level 10 anymore just to learn skills. It's weird. I'm not used to that, but all my arcs apart from this one is level 10 already, or at least 15. I am considering getting this, but for the moment I won't. I'm gonna try out Kyle with this arc. Also, one thing I want to mention quickly is the fact that I have 102 of these now. Yeah, that's a bit extreme. How did I have so many? I don't know. Been saving for ages. I'm definitely going to be getting this arc to level 10. Probably after the stream. But for the moment, level 1, it gives 15% damage, 1000 damage cap buff to all allies. And the unit gets 5000 damage cap against bosses, and damage taken from bosses minus 25%. So at level 1, it's still pretty solid. The damage cap against bosses is halved, and the damage taken is halved, but the physical damage is halved as well, but the damage cap is only 1000 at level 1, which makes sense because previous arcs that have done this for magic and specials have been the same, I think. So definitely going to be leveling that up later. Let's try him out by himself in the normal story stage, see how it does, and then we can do the unit test play quest. There's new stages in Cloudia. That would be fun. Let's go on here, see how he does. I don't think he's going to be doing a lot of damage because he has Divinity Slayer. So these are human type enemies. He's not going to do a whole lot of damage, but surprise me anyway. So his skill stocks, what are they like? Pretty average. 5 skill stocks of his skill 1's pretty high. 3 of his skill 2's pretty good, but it's average. 2 of skill 3's just average, so these are all just average skill stocks, nothing really special about it. Let's try attacking the boss and use a skill 1. Okay, well, yeah, like I said, his skill 1 is not very fast, but It's okay. Skill 2 I like more. I don't know what the range is of it. Okay, they're already dead. Okay, sure. That did 91,000 crit damage. Does look nice, honestly. It's weird seeing another... He magically got white hair, by the way. It's, like... Dante... Funny. Let's do that again. I want to do some other skills, then go into the unit test play quest. That's better to test in there. I didn't even use this charisma or the arc skill. Maybe I should do that. So that will give 15% more damage. I should have looked at the animation. I really should have done that. I kind of forgot. It's pretty cool though. There is some good range of the skill too though. He's doing some good damage already because of those buffs that I gave him. That's nice. 88,000 normal. That's pretty good, but that was a boss enemy. I do like that animation of his skill 3. Looks pretty cool. His skill 1, not super impressed with it honestly, but skill 2 is pretty great. Skill 3, pretty nice too. Let's do that one more time, then I'll actually see the animations. Then I'll go into the unit test play quest and then probably try him out with a full team. See how that goes. I haven't even used the Overlord buff yet, I kind of forgot about that. But... don't have any MP now. Let's see this animation, I haven't seen this yet. Kind of what I expected. Pretty nice though. Boss is already dead. You know, the damage is solid, but he is a single unit. And obviously I did a few buffs there, but... yeah, he should be doing a lot of damage against bosses for sure. That's what I think, what I'm seeing right now. It's nice. Let's try the unit test play quest then. That was without Slayer damage as well, so considering he wasn't hitting Slayers, against that boss, he was doing pretty strong damage. I could try the Oversoul buff. I'll try that in a minute. So I haven't done this yet. This is base skills, obviously paid weapon, not the best accessories. Armor could have been clothes instead. It's fine. He should definitely hit damage cap, probably against this enemy, because probably a divinity type enemy. I would expect that has fire weakness. Probably. Yeah, obviously. So normal attacks. Pretty normal. Now we can test the range of things properly. Cool. The damage cap isn't crazy, but you do have to use Oversoul buff, which I'll use in a moment. The range of that is pretty solid. You can use a skill from right here, so the distance... okay, but not crazy. Kind of reminds me of Ruto's skill 2. Huh. And then the range of the skill 3... a bit longer. Yeah, definitely longer. Now I can use Soul Blade, which is at level 1. And then Charisma to boost damage cap even more. And then over Soul Buff to boost damage cap even more. Now we're looking at good numbers. For sure. Then I can use a special, which I haven't tried yet. Damage cap's pretty good, but I do have a lot of buffs active right now. Cool. Yeah, definitely spamming skill 2 is very good. You know, I do think it's pretty nice. Obviously his DPS isn't going to be anything crazy, we have better DPS units right now. Especially after Levi and, you know, those types of units. Arch being melee as well. Her DPS isn't crazy, but dual wield unit. It's hard to have a single wield unit that can have high DPS. Most of the time the highest DPS units are dual wield units. So that was fun. I do want to test them out in a full team though, just to see how we can do. I do want to do more testing with this arc at some point for the arc skill. Because compared to this, skill damage cap, this one's not skill damage cap, it's physical. So this arc skill should stack with this one, which would be pretty crazy, wouldn't it? I still consider this arc to be very good for the trait and the arc skill. Probably would be better off using this on Kyle, maybe, honestly. Because then you can get 20,000 more damage cap here. Hang on, you get 20,000 damage cap there. And then if you have this at level 10, you would get 10,000 more. And then another, whatever that number was. $10,000. Should have expected that. So, I don't think there's any super good ways to get rainbow potions in this event, at least what I've seen so far. There's probably going to be a couple in login events, potentially. There is never a good way to farm them, but usually you would want to do the event, but I don't think there's any in here. There is a daily stage which has a chance to give you rainbow potions. This one. You can only do this once per day though, but it's still a very good stage, just remember to do this one. I think that's currently the only way to get those. So let's go back to the world map. I do want to try Kyle with a full team and see how much damage and damage cap I can get him at just a full team, but he isn't fully built, he's not even stick enhanced yet, so I don't expect a whole lot. Kinda want to try that. And then the next unit, since he's light Charisma's Megius. And then the last unit can be something. You know, at level 1, you're probably better off using a different arc, if I'm honest. Because this skill only going to give 1000 damage cap to everyone. If you've got one other damage dealer, then you could just use Holy War for more 1250 damage cap instead. This is probably fine, maybe. Sure. He has Honey Elixir. You will have Charisma. Then I can just see how this does, I think. Yes. I don't know if he's even going to hit damage cap, if I'm honest. Against the boss, maybe. Probably should have tried Theophilus, if I'm honest. You know, it's pretty solid. Obviously not hitting damage cap or anything yet, because I was just mostly focusing on damage cap there, but it's never a good idea when they're not even built, but it's still pretty solid. Could be better. I think, you know what's funny is Magius is going to work very well with this Shift Kyle because they're both light damage dealers, so yeah, that's a thing. I'm going to try again with that. Why is it level 4? Should be level 10. There we go. So now I should maybe be able to kill him in one skill 3, potentially. The damage cap should be a lot better, because he should be hitting close to cap or damage cap on the boss, I would expect. Because they have minus 100 light resistance. Yeah, I saw 770,000 crit, which was nice. See, the thing is, it's not as good as the damage cap in the unit test play quest, but that was because the unit test play quest had him at 6 enhance and his paid sword, which does make a big difference for his damage cap. So if you're only focusing on damage cap, I don't think Kyle's going to be that great. I still think it's going to be great for like performing well, killing bosses, but definitely not a high DPS whatsoever, so I don't really know how useful he's going to be at the moment. Have to wait and see, I guess. He's doing more testing. I was more excited in the arc, if I'm honest. So, I've mostly talked about everything that I wanted to, I think. There was a couple new stickers. The arena ended yesterday, so that was fun. Another rank 1 for me. Great job. You know, it's kind of funny, right? I've had like 4 of them somehow. Anyways. That's great. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to do. I could talk about Melee, maybe, because she was last update, but Kyle, I've mostly focused on him as much as I wanted to. I don't think Kyle is super exciting to me, because, you know, his testing isn't... Didn't really want to test too much. I do want to do this at some point, but not yet. There's supposed to be a Tower of Trials, I think. I should be doing these too. Anyways. I think I've talked about everything that I wanted to. Surprising, because I thought I would take longer than this, if I'm honest. If you're a new player, I don't think it's worth putting on this. I mean, you could get the rear, which is still amazing, but I don't know. Maybe because the unit chance is higher. Also, you can re-roll your account now, because you press start as new player, which I'm not going to press, but if you press that button and press yes, then you can delete your account and make a new player and easily re-roll in this game now, so that's something you can do. It's definitely the ideal time to re-roll right now if you're thinking of playing the game again, or just starting, or want to make a new account, then now is the best time, because you can re-roll if you really want to and care about that for the best stuff. So you could technically re-roll for Kyle plus the UR plus other things. Could be a good option. And if you do manage to get Kyle and his UR arc, that's going to set you for the story for an incredibly long time. He can probably clear the entire story, maybe. But you do need a healer, so if you do manage to get Kyle plus Spirit Maiden Thuria, that's probably the best dart you can get in terms of units. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just have a quick look at Melee, just while I'm here. So I've been using her a lot, and she's actually pretty strong for Arena, and I figured out this team works pretty well. I'm not really going to go in depth because, you know, PvP and all, competitive, so it's still pretty strong. If I were to go here, she is doing a lot of damage. She's doing, you know what I said before is that her damage wasn't anything crazy? Well, it is actually better than I expected originally. So, yeah, it's pretty great. I think I'll leave that there for today. I do need to check when the next update is. I think it's probably in 2 weeks. I don't think next week has anything. Because next week would be the 18th, wouldn't it? Yeah. Next week we get the another select ticket for a unit, I believe. Pretty sure. So yeah, my conclusion for this update at the moment, I think this anniversary is pretty great. Obviously it's an anniversary, so should expect a lot of free stuff, and there is some good free stuff. You get your arc select ticket. Now is the perfect time to start the game if you really want to come back to it or start a new account. Now is ideal because you get your arc select ticket. They're the most rare arcs in the game and the most valuable, so yeah, there is a more select tickets coming out soon, and 3,000 crystals. I think you can get 3,000 crystals right now. You might be able to get some more crystals from other login events and stuff. There are a lot of login bonuses right now. Some more tickets, some more crystals, some very good stuff in this anniversary. So, reason there are more tickets here, so I would recommend saving for now. I probably should have saved, honestly, but you could get lucky from these 5 tickets, maybe. There is definitely going to be a couple people that get the Yarark or Kyle from these 5 tickets there, so if you take your time, you can get lucky and could get something from there. I think Kyle, as a unit, is going to be pretty good. I originally wasn't super excited about him. I do like him as a unit, but his kit is kind of, you know, doesn't bring much to the game compared to Arch being melee, who has a lot of ailments and debuffs. She just seems like a way better unit, at least way more unique of a unit, and I prefer her. I'm a bit biased on it. Yeah, Kyle's animations aren't that great, but his skill 2 I think is pretty good. It's decently fast. His skill 3 looks pretty nice. It's okay. His skill 1 is a close the gap skill, so his skills aren't terrible. I think his main role is not a damage dealer. His main role is probably going to be killing bosses and just being able to clear a lot of content. So for that reason, I do think he's definitely new player friendly. For endgame players, if he doesn't perform well in PvP, then I don't think endgame players can find a good place for him. Because if you have beaten all the content and there's only PvP content left like me, then I don't think Kyle's going to get used as much, but for a newer player, you're probably going to get a lot of use out of him. If they release more content in the future, then maybe Kyle's going to be used a bit more, but if you're newer and not an endgame player, then I'm sure Kyle's going to benefit your account a lot. The Arc, on the other hand, this is definitely the main prize of this banner. If you do manage to get this Arc, then that's great, because this is the best thing you can get from this banner. The Arc trait's amazing, the Arc skill's very good. At level 1 it's not anything crazy, but you can still use it and get some benefit from it. Taking less damage from bosses, if you're having a hard time in story or some boss stages, then you could use this Arc skill and you can tank a bit more, so it can help in that way as well. Learnable skills are very nice. I do like them. The Arc reward is okay, but I do think if you're a new player and you do get this Arc, then you could use this Arc for literally every physical DPS that you have, because all you need to do is just put it on your physical damage dealer and they instantly get 30% physical damage and 3000 damage cap. And if they use a sword, then they get Divinity Slayer, so it's a pretty easy Arc to slot on any physical DPS unit. That's why I think it's going to be a great one to have. But yeah, there isn't really anything else that's interesting on this banner. It's a DOH banner, you could get some older DOH units, you could even get Spirit Maiden of Thuria if you're super lucky, but if you want to go for her, it's probably better to pull on the starter banner instead. Other banners that are available right now, honestly there's not as many banners as there has been in the past. The melee banner is still up, but I don't know how many people are going to be pulling on this banner. After a bunch of testing, I can say that Arch being melee is definitely one of the better units in the game currently, and is a unit worth having. Probably better than Kyle, I think, but the value of the banner may not be as high because this banner has the Soul Blade Arc. But you know what you could do is you could pull on Arch being melee's banner and hope you get lucky from tickets, and you could get Kyle as well. In that case, that would be like the best case scenario. So I still think Arch being melee is worth considering, because I do think she's a better unit than Kyle, but don't take my word for it, because Kyle hasn't been tested that much. I'm just biased because I like Melee so much, and mine's at plus 30 and has paid equipment, so her performance at lower SC and without paid equipment is definitely going to be not as good, but still, elements, don't underestimate elements, they're so valuable, but some bosses are nil to elements. In that case, Kyle would perform better in those scenarios. So that's all the banners and what I think about this update. I think definitely a very good update, a lot of good changes and quality of life updates that should have been done ages ago, but the changes that they have done are promising to me. I'm hoping they release more content soon, like guild raid battles, people want that, and just some more PvE content as well. The story is PvE content, so we do have some content to do in this update, but once you finish it all, it's then back to, you know, the typical PvP content and all my shells, so that's only if you're an endgame player. If you're a new player, you don't need to worry about that. That's pretty much everything I want to say today. It's been an hour and 15 minutes-ish, not as long as I was thinking it would be, but still, I'm having fun with this anniversary so far. There are a lot of things that I want to do, like doing the story, building Kyle more, start testing him out. I definitely want to get the arc leveled up to level 10 and the arc skill to level 10 and start messing around with that. Having fun with the learnable skills as well, putting that on some other units. You know what? Now I'm thinking about it. Does Melee have light attack raise 3? She probably does, doesn't she? But I'm going to double check just to make sure, because if she doesn't, then that's going to be a huge win. But I'm pretty sure she already has it. So she doesn't have light attack raise 3, okay. You know what this means is that this arc can buff Arch being melee as well. That makes me happy. It really does, because making melee even better for PvE, even though it's only slightly, I think that's pretty good. You can use light attack raise 3 on Arch being melee, make her even better. I'm happy with that. That's great. I still think melee Mare is probably the best arc to use on melee, but you could use Soul Blade, honestly. So, I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going to be adding the timestamps very soon, today, and I think I will see you guys in 2 weeks, because that should be the next unit. I think. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to be doing the story and seeing if there's any spoilers or any teasers in the story that hints towards the next unit, because that might be the case. Some people are thinking there could be another Shift Ray or something. That could be fun and would make sense, because having a Shift Ray and Kyle at the same time would be pretty nice, but don't expect it. Just wait and see what happens, and when it gets to it, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, be careful with your crystals, make sure you use tickets first, and I'll see you probably in 2 weeks. So yeah, have fun with this anniversary. 5th anniversary is probably the more hype anniversary. Well, these are always the more hype updates in this game, so enjoy it while it lasts. Have fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.